Join us for the very first IFL Live at London's Indigo at the O2, Sunday, August the 13th, with me, Coogan Cassius, and some very special guests. Eddie Hearn, Darren Barker, Johnny Fisher and more. Tickets now on sale. So in the words of Eddie Hearn,
you get up, you dress up, and you fucking show up.
We announced IFL as one to watch yesterday, and that's kind of, I suppose, very relevant to the scene and what you're doing at Matchroom. I'm trying to shine as much light as we can on the amateurs and show that side. Obviously, we know the big fights are where the numbers are, the big fights are where the money is, but these guys in the big fights, but once the guys at the bottom going their way around the amateur scene also. So just kind of your take on, I suppose, our little announcement.
I think it's brilliant, mate. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I reached out to you, dropped you a text. What's going on with this? I think I could probably help you. So, yeah, there's so much talent coming through. I mean, I can't remember the numbers, but in terms of the recent European Championships that England Boxing have had, one of the junior squads, they're just bringing home so many medals, and there's so much talent coming through on the male and the female side. So to be able to, you know, maybe interview some of these guys, shine a light on the work they're doing, looking at kind of like the England talent pathway, some of the community boxing stuff and the initiatives taking place as well. There's so much, and it aligns really well with exactly what I'm trying to do with Matchroom as well. So no, I was buzzing to see it, mate, and anything I can do to help, then yeah, absolutely, I'm here.
Yeah, I always see on Twitter England Boxing tweeting about medalists, male and female. Just could you kind of shed perhaps a bit of light on how these guys get picked up, or when they're medalists, do they kind of get immediate attention from, I don't know, scouts as such? Like, how do these guys kind of work their way into the pros, and how do they end up signing with you likes of Matchroom, you likes of Queensbury, etc.?
So as they develop through the pathway, it usually tends to work. I was never involved in it when I was at England, but a lot of colleagues were, and there's a kind of scoring criteria. There's a RAG rating system that you get the England coaches following when they're watching the contests at amateur level. I think if you get through to semi-finals and national finals, you begin to get picked up and put onto the pathway, and then from there you kind of end up boxing for England, going up the GB Championships, and then hopefully medaling at international contests and getting that international experience. As it develops into the pros, I guess it's very much down to the individual. You know, the focus for England Boxing is very much like they've just embedded a new senior squad in as well, so that people don't feel like, okay, we finished at youth level, or, you know, we're not going in the elite championships this year. There is a pathway now to stay senior, and if you don't get on GB, you can still box for England. So I think that's brilliant. That's a really, really good initiative. But if people want to box as a pro, then, you know, the avenue's there as well with whichever promoter.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that, because I can imagine there's quite a lot of fighters who, when, say, their podium squad or Olympic squad chances are kind of crushed, that takes a massive heavy hit. I suppose likening it to when a player's released from an academy as a footballer, it's not the be all and end all for your career, but that's kind of, I guess, like the ultimate crushing moment as an amateur.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's tricky, and to be honest with you, I think the pandemic had a massive impact on that as well, because what you found is professional gyms were still open to train and amateur gyms weren't. They were all shut. So I think you found there's probably a little bit of a lost generation, which we're still seeing the end of as well, in terms of people that did turn pro a little bit earlier than maybe they would have done if the pandemic hadn't happened. So yeah, I think absolutely, if you know, you don't get onto GB or you don't end up boxing internationally, then it could seem like a crushing blow. But there are so many different avenues out there, whether that's sticking amateur now or turning pro. So
we know we're in good hands as a country in the sport, and we're going to have some future superstars down here today.
I believe so, yeah. As I say, Phoenix Amateur Boxing Club are bringing quite a few members down.
This was your patch when you... Yeah.
This was, yeah. So I used to cover the East Midlands, Eastern Counties and half of the home counties. So yeah, did loads of work with all the gyms around Nottingham. So it's great to be back. Reached out to a fair few old contacts, see if we can get some of the kids down today. Obviously it's Lee's former gym as well, and Carl Froch's old gym. So they've got a history of producing talent, and no doubt there's more coming through, mate.
join us for the very first IFL Live at London's Indigo at the O2, Sunday, August the 13th, with me, Coogan Cassius, and some very special guests. Eddie Hearn, Darren Barker, Johnny Fisher and more. Tickets now on sale. So in the words of Eddie Hearn,
you get up, you dress up, and you fucking show up.